Year, Bunny!
Well, now that Christmas is over, I think the weather is going to get even colder.
Well, we all know how cold it gets here in Wyoming. We get a lot of snow, so many times January would be the hardest time of year for the pioneers. Did you know that when the pioneers moved out to Wyoming, they had no electricity?
Wait. What do you mean there was no electricity? Meaning there were no lights? No television? No phones? Nothing?
That's right. How did they live? Well, since they couldn't turn on a light when it got dark at night, they would usually go to bed, or they would do things in the evening by light of a fire or use candles.
I'm still trying to figure out how they lived without television. But without electricity, how did they keep their houses warm?
Well, the fire wasn't only for light. A lot of times the fire was the only way to keep the house warm enough.
Oh, right, but it would still be pretty cold.
A lot of times it was. And you know, parts of Wyoming don't have a lot of trees, so it would be sometimes hard to keep a fire going. But they had a secret weapon for starting fires.
Really? Like what?
They would burn buffalo poop. What? That's right. Dried up buffalo poop or cow poop is great for starting fires.
Ew! Wouldn't that be all smelly?
Well, being smelly is better than being cold.
I guess. Is there another way they would stay warm in the cold winter months?
Well, of course, they would make plenty of blankets. Wyoming has a lot of sheep farmers. And do you know what sheep have?
Bad breath?
Maybe, but I was thinking they have wool. The fur on their backs is called wool, and it's really warm and great for making blankets and clothes.
But what if a pioneer didn't have a sheep?
Well, there were other ways to make blankets.
Like what?
Well, a lot of times, pioneers found ways to make blankets out of scraps of other blankets. They would make quilts.
Quilts? What are those?
A quilt is a really pretty type of blanket that usually has a really pretty pattern on the front. The pattern is made with different colored scraps from other old blankets or old clothes that can be stitched together.
So they would take the scraps and put them together to make one big blanket?
Exactly. And sometimes there would even be competitions on who could make the prettiest quilt or the most original quilt pattern.
Wow, that is so cool! And everyone knew how to make their own quilt?
Well, sort of. Sometimes quilts would be so big that a group of people would get together and work on one all at once. And it was cold and dark outside. It was a way for people to get together and hang out with their friends while working on a new blanket that would keep one of their friends warm. It was basically one big party, and they called it a quilting bee.
Ooh, just talking about all this cold weather is making me cold. Do you want some hot chocolate?
Oh, that sounds good. You know, the pioneers didn't have hot chocolate.
Ah, that sounds awful. What did they drink to keep warm?
Well, there was always tea or coffee, and for a special treat, they would drink hot apple cider.
Ooh, but coffee. I love coffee.
I know, but remember we decided it wasn't a good idea for you to drink too much? You go a little crazy when you have too much coffee.
Oh, right. Well, hot chocolate sounds awesome too. Let's go to the museum, get some hot chocolate, and be glad we don't have to burn buffalo poop to keep warm.
Oh yeah, I'm super thankful we don't have to do that.
Let's go! Thank you for watching our show, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed Carving County Museum's Puppet Players. And now, I think Miss Maddie has some cool stuff to show you guys. Till next time, bye! Hi guys! So, as you guys probably remember, I'm Miss Maddie. I work here at Carbon County Museum. And I just want to show you a few things that the puppets were talking about that you guys can find right here in our museum if you come to visit us. Let me see what I have. Okay, so you know how they were talking about quilts? This is a quilted pillowcase. If you look at it, you can tell that there are different types of fabrics that are sewn all together. And it makes a really pretty pattern. Can you see the diamond pattern on this? It goes bump, 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 bump. And there's a circle all around it. So, like they were talking about, the pioneers a lot of times would all get together and they would work on sewing together their quilts. Now, if they didn't have a bunch of blankets or a bunch of scraps for their quilt, and keep in mind that some people would save up scraps of old blankets for years just to make a new quilt. But if they could, they would sometimes use wool as a blanket. Now, you could just go ahead and use this as the interior. This is sheepskin, and you could either use this as the interior of a coat or just as a coat by itself. But keep in mind that a lot of times people would take the wool, and remember, taking the wool from a sheep does not hurt the sheep. As a matter of fact, it's really healthy for the sheep for you to take its wool occasionally, because if you don't, the wool can get too heavy, it can get really dirty, and it can actually make the sheep sick if they don't have someone take their wool. So they would take the wool and they would turn it into yarn. And they would take that yarn and they could either knit or crochet the yarn together. And you can see that this is something that you would put on a table, maybe to protect it from a plate or something, keep the table from getting all scratched up. But this is actually made out of wool yarn. So that sheepskin I just showed you would have been made into yarn, and that yarn gets turned into this. Isn't that crazy? All right, well, thank you so much for watching our video. We hope to see you at the museum. We do require masks when you come inside, but we are open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 to 5. All right, thanks so much for watching our video, guys. Hope to see you. Bye.